and welcome to the circle. Well, we'll see if people are joining and so on, but if we could say hello, who's in the circle, and we can just enter into the learning.
Hello,
Shalom,
Eddie here from,
Yitzchak.
sorry, Eddie here from Phoenix.
Eliakim Schwartz in Chicago.
And who else? And Yossi is just joining us. Okay, so let's begin. It's shared screen, and we're here in order to learn, read, meet, discuss the teachings of Rav Avraham Yitzchak Cohen-Kook, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And we've been looking at his teachings thematically and structurally. And the first 5 sessions, we focused in on the 5 Yesodot, the central principles that the Rav HaNazir identified as being the 5 Yesodot of Rav Kook's worldview. HaKodesh HaKlali, that everything is kadosh. Chayut HaOlamit, everything is living. Ha'achdut HaKolelet, everything is one and connected and collected together. HaTov HaKlali, it's all Tov unfolding, and even the Ra is there to serve the unfolding of the Tov, the greater unfolding of the Tov. And the 5th principle, which we did last week, is Hitaloot HaOlam, that existence is in a constant process of elevation, evolution, towards improvement, towards shlemut, wholeness and perfection. And the entire Seder Bet of Orot HaKodesh is divided according to those 5 themes. And when Rabbi Shmuley invited me to, oh yeah, Rabbi Joe, when Rabbi Shmuley invited me to prepare a 10 series, textual-based series of Torah to Rav Kook, you can understand why I chose that as the beginning, those 5. And they're in a way like the roots, the foundation of Rav Kook's understanding and the Torah's understanding. It's not, Rav Kook is giving expression to a more whole understanding of the Torah, but it's an expression of the Torah that he's given us. And so it also seemed quite to make a lot of sense for the second half, the second 5, to enter into another 5 structures, but in this case, the Rav Kook himself identifies, and it's called. Let me take you into the text. I've got the preparation text here, and this is here we go. So the first thing we have to integrate is the Ma'aseh Merkava, the name of the piece that is also the foundation, the skeleton of what we'll be learning the next 5 weeks is Shir Merubah, a 4-fold song. So where does that phrase come from? It comes from the Zohar. But the first link is this verse in the Ma'aseh Merkava, the Yecheskel's vision, where he says, when these angels moved, Eshma et kol kanfeihem, the sound of their wings, Kekol Maim Rabim, like the sound of mighty waters. Kekol Shaddai, like the sound of, it's a divine name. Belechtam Kol Amula, that's Kol Shaddai Belechtam, the voice of Shaddai going forth. Kol Hamula, the voice of the multitudes. Kekol Machaneh, like the sound of the, like, it's not a great, Kol Machaneh, like the sound of the army and the encampment. And when the angels rested, Me'omdam Tarpena, their kanfen went down, their wings went down. So here we see in this vision of Yecheskel, he uses the word kol 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this pasuk. Then the Zohar elaborates, and this is found, here's the source in Pinchas. Be'et hitgalut hashchina, I can underline. Be'et hitgalut hashchina. Hold on. Be'et hitgalut hashchina, bezman amirat kriyat shema, at the time of the revelation of the divine presence, at the time when we call out the Kriya in the Shema, Nishma kol shel asara minei hilulim, is heard the call of the voice of 10 different types of praises. The Zohar continues and calls them Shir Pashut. It's a simple song, Yud. Shir Kafur, a double song, Yud Dalet. Shir Meshulash, a threefold song, Yud Dalet. That should have been a Hey. No, Yud Dalet Vav. Shir Merubah, Yud Hey, Vav Hey. Together, Eser Otiot Shem Havaya. Together, they make the 10 letters. The name of Havaya makes 10 letters, which is the Yud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The unfolding of the fourfold unfolding of Yud Ke Vav Ke creates the Eser Otiot Shel Havaya, the 10 letters of creation, of existence, hamakbilot gam le'eser asfirot, that are correspond to the 10 sfirot. And the 10 letters of the name Yud He Vav He correspond to the 10 sfirot. The Zohar continues, David HaMelech haya menagen bekinuro. David HaMelech used to play the Arba Minei Nigunim Elu, in these 4 types of melodies, the Shir Pashut, Shir Kafur, Shir Meshulash, Shir Merubah, Shenegdan Asa Asara Minei Tfilot B'Sefer Tehillim, that out of this unfolded the 10 types of tfilot that we've identified in Sefer Tehillim. Okay? And this is in a later Zohar source, in the Tikkunim. Mitikunim Katuv, that ultimately, in the future, as Israel gets stronger, Yivutal Hara, evil will be erased. The Amalek yichal machek mi'olam, and Amalek will disappear from the world. Az tiyeh shira kfula umechupelet. Then there'll be a double and doubling song. Shir Pashut, a simple song. Shir Kafur, a double song. Shir Meshulash, a threefold song. V'Shir Merubah, a fourfold song. Ze kashur im Shem Havaya. You see here the name, it's connected with Shem Yud Hey Vav Hey. Sheyelech ve'yofia ve'yitgale yoter ve'yoter. That will come forth to manifest and be revealed more and more as history progresses. Okay, and this is from the Tikkunim. This is early Zohar. Okay, so everybody's with me, I hope. Rav Kook steps in, and this is found in Notebook 7, meaning he wrote this sort of in the last year or two of the First World War when he was in Europe. And he wrote a piece. It's been given the title Shir Merubah, the fourfold song, referring to the Shir Merubah that the Zohar identifies, and he'll elaborate. Yeshu shar shirat nafsho. There is the one and that part of ourselves where we sing the song of our own being, our own nefesh, our own soul. Ubenafsho hu motzeh et hakol. And in our own nefesh, we find everything. Et melo hasipuk aruchani bemiluo. Our full spiritual satisfaction, singing the song of our own nefesh. Veyesh shehu shar shirat ha'umah. And then there is the one who sings the song of her own nation, her own people. Yotzeh u mitoch ha'ma'agal shel nafsho ha'pratit. He emerges from the circle of his individual self. She'eno motzeh ota murchevet kera'ui. He doesn't find it broad enough, open enough. V'lo meyushevet yeshuv ideali. And it doesn't sit on an idealistic basis. Sho'ef lemeromei oz, this person who is singing Shirat HaOmah is yearning for greater heights. V'hu mitdabek be'ahava adina incalculable shel Knesset Yisrael. And thus they join with a refined love with the collective of the community of Israel, Knesset Yisrael. Ve'ima hu shar et shireya, meitzar betzaroteya, mishta'ashea betikvoteya. And with her, he sings her songs, he's grieved in her afflictions, he rejoices in her hopes. Hoged deot elionot v'tehorot al avara v'al atida. We reflect and learn great, elevated, pure thoughts on the past of Israel and its future. V'choker be'ahava u'chachmat lev v'tochen rucha ha'pnimit, and probes and investigates with love and wisdom of heart, inner wisdom. It's her inner spiritual essence of Israel. Veyesh asher od titrachev nafsho ad sheyotze umitpashet mi'al gvul Israel. And then there is the one who extends their soul, spreads beyond the boundary of Israel, lashir et shirat ha'adam, to sing the song of humankind, humanity. Rucho holech umitrachev begaon klalut ha'adam v'hod tzalmo. That person's spirit goes and broadens into the genius of all humankind and their noble essence. Sho'efu el te'udato ha'klalit, that we aspire to our humankind's general goal. u'metzapeh lahishtalmuto ha'elyona, and we look forward to its humankind's highest perfection. Umimekor chaim zeh hu sho'ev et klalut hegionotav u'mechkarav, and from this source of life, he draws his study and his investigation, his aspirations, and his visions. Singing Shirat HaAdam. V'yesh asher od mizeh lemala berochav yitnaseh. And then there is the one, and it's also that part of ourselves that rises toward wider horizons. Ad shemitached im kol hayakum kulo, so we unite with all existence. Im kol habriot, with all the creatures. Ve'im kol ha'olamim, with all the worlds. Ve'im kulam omer shira, and with all of them we sing, we speak, we sing with all of them. Zehu ha'osek beperek shira bechol yom shemuftach lo shehu ben HaOlam-The. This is the one who engages in this shira, the song with all God's creatures, with all worlds. That one who is engaged in that verse of song every day is guaranteed to be a child of the world that is coming, the coming world. Though in halacha, the ashrei is put in tefillah in order to fulfill that. That's where the perek shira, they put consciously, they added into the tefillah is the ashrei, so that each one of us is guaranteed to be, though we say ashrei every day. So Rav Kook continues. Veyesh asher ole im kol hashirim halalu beyachad ba'aguda achad. And then there is the one who rises with all these songs together in one ensemble. Kulam notnim et kolotehem. Each all give their voices. Kulam yachad man'imim et zimrehem. Each one, we make na'im, we make pleasant our melodies. We harmonize. We each harmonize together. V'zeh noten lezeh leshed v'chaim. And each one give to each other vitality and life. Kol sason v'kol simcha. Songs of joy and simcha. Kol tzahala v'kol rina. Jubilation, celebration. Kol chedva v'kol kedusha. Ecstasy, songs of ecstasy and holiness. Shirat HaNefesh. Shirat HaUmah. Shirat HaAdam. Shirat HaOlam. The song of our being, the song of our soul, the song of our people, the song of humanity, the song of existence. Kulan yachad mitmazgot bekirbo b'chol et u'b'chol sha'ah. They all together merge in our beings at every instant, at every hour, in every moment. The song of ourselves, the song of our people, the song of humankind, the song of existence, all merge within us at all times in every hour. V'hatmimut hazot b'milu'ah ola hi liot shirat kodesh. And this full comprehensiveness, this rises to become a song of holiness. Shirat El, a song of God. Shirat Israel, the song of Israel. Be'otzem uzav v'tifarta, in its full power, authenticity, and holiness and splendor. Be'otzem amita ve'godla, in its full truth and greatness. Israel, Shir El, right? You take the Yud and move it one letter over, and the word Israel is transformed into Shir El, the song of God. Shir Pashut, a simple song. Shir Kaful, a double song. Shir Meshulash, a triple song. Shir Merubah, a fourfold song. Shir Hashirim Asher LeShlomo. This is the Song of Songs of Shlomo. Lemelech Shehashalom Shelo, the sovereign with whom is Shalom. Israel Shir El, Yud, Yud Hey, Yud Hey Vav, Yud Hey Vav Hey. A Shir Pashut, Shir Kaful, Shir Meshulash, Shir Merubah. And may we be blessed to really be Israel in its fullness, because Rav Kook is really giving definition here for what Israel and who Israel is, and what we're here to do. So in my experience, this is one of the, if I only can learn one piece of Rav Kook with anybody, it ends up being this piece. Or the one we did about universal love, but this is so central and gives the whole picture of Rav Kook's consciousness as an Israelite, that this is how Israel is to be in this consciousness of the full unfolding of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, anybody want any comment, anything to say, question? And
Yitzchak, I just want to let you know I'm here with you. I'm just having something to eat, but this is beautiful. So I just want you to know I'm here with you.
All right, and you're saying it's understandable, correct?
Totally, yeah, great. It was a really great laid it out. Yep, very understandable.
All right, so then we'll continue. So my suggestion, the way we're going to be continuing is that in each one of the next 4 sessions, the 5th one will be an integration, but this is actually the 4 that becomes 5. We're going to spend each shiur focusing in on one of those songs and Rav Kook's teachings in that world. And let's begin. And the one we're focusing in on today is Yeshehu Shar Shirat Nafsho. There is that part of us where we sing the song of our own nefesh. Ubenafsho hu motze et hakol. In our nefesh we find everything. Et melo hasipuk haruchani bemiluo. Our full spiritual satisfaction. Okay, so Rav Kook wrote, this is in notebook 4, so they wrote this in Yafo around 1913, 1914. Kol Adam tzarich ladat. Every human being has to know shekarui hu la'avod al pi ofen ha'hakara v'ha'hargasha ha'meyuchad shelo, that they're called upon to do their avodah, their service, their work, according to the recognition and feeling that is uniquely theirs. Every person must know that we're called to serve according to our unique understanding and feeling. Al pi shorish nishmato, according to the source of our soul. HaOlam-The, and in this world, the world of our own soul, HaKolel Olamim Ein Sforot, that includes countless worlds beyond measure, Yimtza et Otzar Chayav, we will find the treasure of our own life. Al yibalbeluhu, don't get all mixed up. Betochanim shotfim el tocho, from contents that are flowing into you, me'olamot zarim, from strange foreign worlds, she'eno koltam kehogen, that you're not able to absorb properly. She'eno mukhshar le'agdam yafeh betzrur ha'chaim shelo, that you're not able to blend them in well in your how do they translate tzrur ha'chaim, in your life baggage, as it were, in your particular life collection. It doesn't fit in well with your life conceptualization. You cannot, he doesn't even try, they cannot properly comprehend. These worlds, they'll find repair in their place. Somebody will do that. According to those people that are able to build that and perfect that, and the rocket scientists will do that, and so on and so forth. אבל הוא צריך לרכז את חייו בעולמותיו הוא. We need to focus our lives on our worlds, בעולמות הפנימיים שלו, in our inner world, שהם לא מלואים כל, that are for us full of all, ומקיפים את הכל, and encompass everything, include everything. As the Mishnah in Sanhedrin says, chayav adam lomar bishvili nivra ha'olam. The world was created in for me. In bishvili can also be read in my path. In the path for me is created in the world, and so forth. For my sake was the world was created. And then he says that Gdula al navanatit zo, this great level of humility, zu me'ashereti et adam, this brings joy. You're just being yourself, nothing more. Brings joy to a person. Umevi'ato l'shlemuta elyona, will bring them to their highest completion, highest fulfillment. Ha'omedet u'mechakalo, that is standing, waiting for you. ובהיותו צועד בדרך חיים בטוחה זו, and when we are marching in this confident path of life, במסלולו המיוחד, in your unique path, באורח הצדיקים המיוחד שלו, in your unique way of being a tzaddik, in the way of righteousness that is specifically, uniquely yours. There, yimale gvurat chaim va'alizut ruchanit, we will be filled with the power of life and great spiritual enthusiasm and joy. We'll fill ourselves with the strength of life and spiritual joy. And then, Or Hashem, Alav Yigaleh, the divine light will shine upon us. Miha'ot ha'meyuchad shelo b'Torah, from our unique letter of the Torah, resonating with the Medrash that every one of us has our letter in the Torah, but from our unique letter of the Torah, Yotzer lo uzo ve'oro, will go forth our strength and our light. So I really want to bless us that we really, each of us, walk confidently our maslul meyuchad and really give full expression to our ota meyuchad in the Torah, and through that will really bring osher great osher for all humankind, ourselves and all humankind, and will bring everything to its highest fulfillment, l'shlemut elyona. So may we be so blessed, and let us say, amen. Amen. Okay. Comments, questions?
Quick comment, Rabbi Yitzchak. First of all, we see that Rav Kook probably maybe more in this poem and shir than almost anything else. First is the working on and the enjoyment in the shir as a nation, and then it becomes universal.
But before the nation, it's the self.
No, from the Balatanya, Adam is a Jew. HaAdam is, and I think TZ'L, so Adam goes on all humankind. And finally, if you take a look at Hanasenish's song, it ends with Tfilat HaAdam, very similar to this concept of Shirat HaAdam.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we continue on the theme, though, of the Shir HaNeshama, the Shirat HaNefesh, our own inner song. And in Kovetz Gimel, which he wrote in Yafo 1910 or so, notebook 3, we find this entry, and it's in the cookbook, in the Ben Zion Boxer, it's entitled The Inner Spark. Hapnimiyut ha'atzmutit shel haneshama, the inner essence of our soul, hahogeh, that is conscious, that is thinking, achaya et hachaim haruchaniim ha'amitiim, that is living the true spiritual life. Hi tzricha cherut muchlata pnimit. It requires complete, absolute inner freedom. The inner essence of the soul requires absolute inner cherut, freedom, liberation. Vecheruta, and it's this liberation, the freedom of the soul, shehi chayeya, which is it's very much its life energy, ba'ala michtoch machshavata hamekorit, comes through its originality in thought. Our capacity to think originally, to think independently, that's an expression of our inner essence of our soul in its freedom. Shezehu hazika pnimi shela, and this is our inner spark, that this freedom of thought. Hamitlabe ve'olech al yedei halimud ve'ha'iyun, that gets fanned to a flame and grows through limud ve'iyun, learning and investigation. Gemara, the entire panoply. Aval hazik ha'atzmi, but the essential spark, which doesn't come from limud ve'iyun, doesn't come from the external study, hu yesod harayon va'machshava. It is the basis of imagination, of thought, idea, rayon, machshava. This is where we can be our uniquely human. We are beings of rayon v'machshava. We are beings of thought and intellect, and it's our original capacity to think originally and to act originally is really the inner essence of our soul in its freedom. Ve'im lo yutan lezika atzmi makom le'ofiya be'oro, and if we don't let this inner spark the place to express itself, if this autonomous spark is not given scope to manifest in its light fully, as kol ma shebalo min hachutz lo yo'il, then everything that comes from the outside will not be of any value. It won't help you. Hazik mukhrach lehishtamer betaharato. This, our inner divine spark, has to be guarded, protected in its purity. V'hamachshava hapnimit, in our inner thought, be'omek ha'emek shela, in its deepest truth, be'godla v'siguva, in its greatness and its exaltation, muchrechet hi lehitorer, has to be awakened. Our machshava pnimit, we have to awaken our capacity for thinking originally and for giving expression to our true being, our nefesh, our true neshama. Lo yichabe zik kodesh ze mipnei shum talmud v'shum iyun. We can't let this holy spark be put out, quenched, through any study or any probing, any investigation, to think, oh, now I know, it's finished. It's we can't. We have to go further than that. Hayichud hapnimi shel haneshama. The level of significance. Here's Rav Kook explains what level of significance this has. Yichud hapnimi shel haneshama, the inner uniqueness, the uniqueness of the inner soul, betochiyut otzma, in its own authenticity, zehu hagodel ha'elyon. This is the highest expression shel zera ha'or ha'elohi, of the seed of the divine light, or zaru al tzaddik, the light planted for the tzaddikim, asher mimenu yatzitz ufarach pri eitz chaim, that from here will bud and blossom the fruit of the tree of life. This is the path for us to plant a tree of life. Each of us has to, in our unique godly soul expressing what is for us to do here, will give birth to the tree of life again and fix the world. May we be so blessed to really in our lifetime give birth to the tree of life, which also means we've gone past Eitz Dat Tov V'Ra. This is the path to Eitz HaChaim and the transformation of Eitz Dat Tov V'Ra to Eitz HaChaim. And may we be so blessed. Nomar Amen. Feel free to say Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Okay. With your permission, maybe we'll do about 5 to 10 minutes more, and then we can discuss.
Great.
But all right, here Rav Kook is really the it's so amazing how his writing predates so many psychological and philosophical and spiritual revolutions that have taken place over the last 100 years. He's written about them all. Kol ma sheha'adam hu yoter gadol, the greater a person is, tzarich hu yoter lechapes et atzmo. You have to even more seek yourself. You have to search for yourself. Yoter mistateret hi mehakarato nishmato ha'amuka. Hidden from your recognition is your deep soul. The deep levels of your soul are concealed from you. Ad shehu tzarich leharbot behitbodedut, until the point we have to do a lot of meditation. Hitbodedut, Buddha lehit boded, the word lehit boded is such a beautiful word because right? Avraham had teachings that he sent with his children to the east. And within 100, 200 years, Buddha pops up and he starts to teach the world, well, what you need to do is to self-isolate, to go levad, and just stay with your neshima, your breath, and you'll experience your nishama. Your spirit you'll experience, and that's basic Buddhism at its purity. But this is what Rav Kook is speaking about. We need to self-isolate. We need to meditate. Hitaloot harayon, to raise our thinking. Hitamkut machshava, to deepen, to elevate our imagination and to deepen our thought. Behishtachrerut hade'ah, to liberate our consciousness. Ad shesof kol sof titgale elav nishmato, till finally your soul will reveal itself to you. Al yedei hazrachat ktsat mi zivei oria, through radiating some of its light upon you. The greater we are, the more we must seek to discover ourselves in order that our soul will reveal it, to liberate our mind, deepen our thought, elevate our imagination so that our soul will reveal itself to us in radiating its light. V'az yimtza et oshro, then you'll find your happiness. Yitaleh mikol hashiflut, elevate from all lowliness. V'yitromem al kol ha'ma'asim, elevate in all your actions. Bazeh yishta. In doing this, you will unite and link yourself with all the creations. You'll descend to the most extreme low level, but in a good way. Ad lechdei bitul hatzura hadimyonit hapratit, to the point that you erase your own personal identity, and you can then repeat the pasuk, va'anachnu anochi tolaat velo ish, I am a worm, and not a human being, Tehillim. But that brings us lebitul hayesh be'omek atzmo, that we can self-annihilate, so to speak, but spiritually, to be able to say, like what Moshe said, Va'anachnu ma, what am I? Right? This is the level of self merging into the larger reality that Moshe experienced, to be able to say, Va'anachnu, what am I? And then, Az yakir, et kol zik shel emet, then we'll be able to recognize every spark of truth. Et kol barak shel yosher, every bolt of integrity, hameshotet bekol makom shehu, that is anywhere in the world. We will recognize every spark of truth, every spark of equity, wherever it makes its appearance in the world. V'hakol yikabetz alav, and then all will join together with us, below shum sin'ah, kin'ah v'tacharut, with no hatred, jealousy, or competition. Ve'or hashalom, ve'oz hagvura, and the light of peace and the power of courage, alav yofia, will manifest upon us. Hod harachamim, the splendor of compassion, ve'pe'er ahava, and the beauty of love will shine upon you. The cheshek hamifal va'avodah, and a zeal for accomplishment and work. Shkikat hayetzira v'hitodedut, a desire for action and creation. But shkikat hayetzira is it's interesting, but yeah, to be really creative and encouraging. Shukat hadmama v'haron pnimi a yearning for inner silence and inner contemplation. All of these energies, peace, courage, compassion, love, zeal for accomplishment and work, a desire for action and creation, a yearning for silence and inner contemplation will all come together in our spirit, and we will become holy. V'hiyeh kodesh. So here's the outline if what we need to do if we want to be holy. So good luck. And let me know when you get there. But Rav Kook is calling us, and I want to do this final piece, and then we'll have a little time to talk. But this piece he wrote, Orora Kodesh, oh, it's Aleph. I can't date it specifically, but I imagine whether it was during the First World War or in Yafo is the question. But it's one of his most remarkable directives. If people say, well, does Rav Kook give any advice? And the answer is yes, he gives a huge amount of advice. He wrote so much and left, he wrote endlessly. His entire life was writing when he didn't have to do something else. And so there's a tremendous amount of Torah that he's left for us. And I'm glad for the opportunity to share it with you because most of it is unknown. Outside of a few circles. So here's a piece, and it almost would be a perfect, somebody on their bar mitzvah. If you want to set somebody off and say, here, this is how to go forth in the world. When your son or daughter is going to get married, or this is really a good context. But here's Rav Kook's, and the Nazir gave it the title, Kri'ah lehistaklut elyona, a calling forth to a higher histaklut, a higher envisioning, a higher contemplation. Im tirtzeh ben adam, if you will it, human being, histakel be'or hashchina b'chol hayekum, gaze upon the light of the divine presence, or observe the light of the Shekhinah in all existence. Histakel be'eden ha'chaim hashmemiim, observe the harmony of the heavenly realm. Em eche mitparshim ve'kol pina ve'zavit shebechaim, how it pervades and spreads forth into every corner and every angle of life, every aspect of life. Aruchanim ve'achomriim, spiritual and material. Sheneged einei besarecha, that are in front of our eyes of flesh. V'neged einei ruchecha, and before our eyes of spirit. Hitbonen bepla'ei yetzira, contemplate the wonders of creation. And the word Pele is, of course, the word Aleph spelled backwards. That every Aleph is a great Pele. But look, reflect, contemplate the wonders of existence. B'chayeya Elohut shelahem, the divine dimension of their being. Lo betor eze tochnit keheh, not as a dim configuration she mimechakim matzigim neged einecha, that is presented to you from the distance. Ki im da et hametziut she'ata chai bo, know that this is the reality in which we're living. We're living in pla'ei hayetzira and chayei ha'elohut. Da et atzmecha ve'et olamcha. Know yourself and your own world. Da et hegyonei halev shelcha, know the contemplations, the thoughts, the understandings of your heart. V'shel kol hogeh v'choshev, and of every thinker and philosopher. Matzah et mekor ha'chaim shebekirbecha, find the source of life that's within you. U'shememe'al lecha, and that is beyond you, shemisvivecha, that is all around you, et pe'erei hadrot ha'chaim, this wondrous splendor of life, she'ata sharui betocham, that we're basting in, we're immersed in this extraordinary, the glorious splendor of life in which we have our being. Ahava shebekirbecha, the love that's within you, he'ele ota leshoresh uza ve'ednat tifarta, raise it to its basic potency and its noblest beauty. The love that's within us, extend it fully. Herchiva lechol sarafotea, send it forth to all its dimensions. Lekol eshed nishmat chei ha'olamim, to every manifestation of the soul that sustains the universe. Asher rak ritzutz hamakom shel hahogeh gorem mi'ut zuharo. It's only our deficiency in seeing, so it's dim, we don't see it clearly. But the love that is astir in us, let us raise it to every manifestation of the soul that sustains the universe. Habet ala ha'orot, look at the lights. Look at the lights. Betochiyutam, in their inwardness. Al yivleu nishmatecha, don't let your soul be swallowed up by the names, hashemot, hanivim, the idioms, concepts, the ha'otiot, or the letters. Hey mesurim beyadecha, they're given to you. We're given language. Iatam masur biyadem, we're not given over to them. We don't need to define ourselves by, oh, I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, I'm a this or this, and therefore this and that, and therefore this and that. We put on all these names and we take on these names and they control us. They define us and when they limit us, we have to see life in its inwardness and not be confined by the names, the words, the idioms, the concepts. They're under our control. What are we? This is the, Aleh lemala aleh. This is a big hit in Israel, this song that came here. Aleh lemala aleh. Elevate high, elevate. Ki koach oz lecha. You have wondrous power. Yesh lecha kanfei ruach, wings of spirit. Knafei resharim abirim, wings of mighty eagles. Al tikachesh bam. Don't deny them. Pen yikachashu lecha, or else they'll deny you. Drosh otam, seek them. Ve'imtza'u lecha miyad. They're immediately there for you. We have wings of great spirit that are immediately there for them, for us, if we so choose. Yikarim v'kdoshim hem lanu levushei hatziyurim. Holy and precious are the conceptualizations that we conceptualize existence in. Muchrachim hem lanu, we need them. We need to have certain concepts and so forth. And especially lechol ba'alei gvul mibateim aruchanim beyichud, and especially when we're sort of limited in our spiritual perspective. Aval tamid be'et she'anu ba'im lechaim madi'im, but as we approach a life of consciousness, of understanding, of meda, of yeda, asur lanu lazuz me'anekuda elyona. It is forbidden for us to swerve at all from the perspective and the understanding sherak mihabilti nitfas. It is only from the incomprehensible or mitpalesh behanitfas that light emanates from the incomprehensible to the comprehensible, the mahalacha atzilut, in the path of emanation, mi'or ein sof, from the infinite light. And we always have to connect everything we do with really the infinite light at the core and not get locked into the lower conceptualizations. Ve'anu kru'im liot mitadnim ba'adanim shmemi'im, and we are called upon to delight in the heavenly Edens and the heavenly delights. You can't find more pleasure. Liot mitadnim be'adanim shmemi'im. We're to be Edenized in the heavenly Edens. B'kol pratei hakarot, in every particular, in all the proliferations of life. Shebeklal hagadol hazeh, shemimenu totzaot kol hachaim, that are part of this universal whole from which all is emerged, all the proliferations of life are engendered, have emerged. We are called anu kruim liot mitadnim ba'adanim shmemiim. We're called to bring existence to this point in our lifetime, where we'll be really bring life to its fulfillment, mitadnim adanim shmemiim, and not get caught and locked in all the forms that fool us. We must ascend to the great heights. We have mighty wings of mighty eagles. Let's not fail them. If we seek for them, they are immediately ready for us. So may our learning bring healing to everywhere where healing is necessary, and may the Torah of Rav Kook bring the liberation, the spiritual and intellectual and emotional and practical liberation of his Torah understanding, because he explains to us that the reason for the Torah is to give us the guidance to really transform the planet, to return it to the Edenic reality. And so, Rabbi Shmuley, kol hakavod on all your efforts to do that, and good luck.
Amen. Amen. Okay, friends, who wants to jump in with a question or thought?
I don't have a question. I just want to say, that really resonated a lot, that second piece. I'm feeling so much pain around the identifications and boxes that people are in, and it's just like so right on, like to connect to that place that we define it, not those boxes define us. But it's tough. It's a tough place. So this was really a salve for my neshama to read that. So thank you.
Yeah, that resonates for me a lot too. And picking up on that point, I wonder, like, there's two ways to be in a box. One way to be in a box is to identify with that box. Mm-hmm. The other is to do things consistently enough that people would reasonably put you in that box, right? And so in that latter camp, I wonder, like, how does Rav Kook think about taking a stand on things, right? You gotta join a political party. You're gonna make a psak halacha. You're gonna take a stand, but you see the light in everything. You don't want to be in a box, but then you have to move from that spiritual light to a place of behavioral, action. And so how does he think about that moment of actually taking a side?
Well, we know he did. Though he did not identify with any political party. As a matter of fact,
Mizrahi?
No, he didn't. There was some letter today or something, but he wasn't. He didn't link himself to any political party. He didn't want to limit that people. He didn't himself. He supported and was helpful, and he supported anybody that needed help, no matter what political party they were. It was based on the person and the situation, and people weren't defined by their politics. And he didn't. So he supported. His teachings are about supporting all the different political groups and all the different viewpoints, and each one finding their truth, and what each one has a certain critique of the others. Maybe there's something there for the others to learn from. That's the sort of communication that he wrote about and tried to guide between the various camps of Israel, and we see that throughout his life. But he certainly was very clear if something was wrong morally. He had no compunction whatsoever to speak the truth of Torah, but it was based on a Torah judgment, not his personal judgment, as it were. And but his path is somehow the linking of the oppositional groups. It's not by joining one side or the other. There's a way of merging, of blending, and that's what we need to learn to do. And not be defined by and limited and bounded by our particular, but learn how to dance with each other and understand that we're all part of the beautiful tapestry, and we're each a precious fruit in it, and not, to be. And he has amazing teachings. I'll find it one time that this definition where we try to call anything of outside of our circle or is wrong or is unimportant is a great evil act.
Love to see that. If you could find that. Rav Shmuel, I was going to say, Yudamersky's book definitely deals with that question a lot. Of his, what he aligned with, what he didn't align with, and yeah, I mean, what I got from that was like he didn't really, exactly what Rav Yitzchak saying, like, he didn't really align, so he was able to do that. But a couple of times he did, it seemed like it was a big mess. But in general, he didn't. So I think that question's still out for us, like how to actually do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So So one other thing that you brought up earlier, and I know this is an old question in mysticism and Kabbalah. But when you were talking about the unique souls, like the unique role of each soul in the world, how do we dive this idea that there's oneness to reality? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everything. There is unity. There is oneness. Panentheism in its classical sense, and yet there is differentiation. There are unique souls, right? Not just unique in their calling, but really in their essence. Right. So how does Rav Kook think about this idea of the oneness of all existence and the idea that souls are in fact unique?
Well, the one is made of the many. And the many are variants, and all the variances, just like in a palette of colors, all the variations and everything is varianced, on the cellular level and everything. So that it's all part of the tapestry. And he has things which I was learning today earlier, where he says, there's certain spiritual concepts that are not for everybody. And if people try to take them on when they're not ready to handle them, it'll be destructive. It's like everybody needs the nurturing for where they're at, but special souls are a choice. It's not, I don't think you're born with it. It's a person who chooses for who wants the higher, the larger consciousness. Well, then they'll bring themselves to that. I don't think he says people are, that's our own process to do, to become a yechidei sgula. But it's our responsibility and it's our doing. But he's encouraging people to be their highest ideals. There's an amazing poem, one of the most amazing poems. It's about 50, 60 verses. And I always think every time there's a political election here, it should be, now there's so many chances, but where he defines all the different groups of Israel. And if you're drawn to this, do this. If you want to be agriculture, if you want to build, if you want to do research, if you want to do this, if you want to do that. And he goes through all of them. You want to learn Torah, you want this and that. And all we need to do with each other is accept each other's contribution, and rather than critique, see where we can help. Where is it that we can help all the other groups? But he ends, the punchline is, and I would love to learn this. Well, we'll continue the conversation about the poetry, but it's an amazing poem. But he says that the final thing is, whatever you do, do not dare to criticize that which your neighbor finds valuable and meaningful.
All right.
This is a good place to pause it, because this is one of the great issues of our time. People who some have trouble with difference and differentiation. They just want the unity, assimilate into the mess, and others want tribalism, total separation, disregard for the other. All these kinds of fundamentalisms, and this is really the Torah we need.
But the entire tree of life is based on the middle column, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. So it's about the way of Torah is the blending of the two polarities, because they each have their what to offer, the totality. And that's the beauty of this creation that we're in.
Amazing. Yasher Koach, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for joining. Rav David, always good to see you.
Yeah,
Rav
good to see
Yaakov,
you.
thanks for joining. Rav Yitzchak, Shkoyach. Laila Tov in Yerushalayim.
Shalom, shalom.
See you next week.